Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video we're taking an early look at the brand new Community Day Leavanny in the Great League, featuring its legacy fast move, Shadow Claw. As always with these Community Day features, these battles were submitted to the channel by a member of the community, Smudgy B, so many thanks for the battle submission. Now, Leavanny previously was stuck with Razor Leaf and Bug Bite, so Shadow Claw is going to be a substantial step up. But considering it's a bug grass Pokemon, the question will be just how much play does it provide? So without further ado, let's hop into the matches and take a look at the new Shadow Claw Leavanny in the Great League. Hopping into the first match, and Smudgy's off to a great start, leading into a Quagsire. Quagsire is going to stay in this matchup, which is quite the surprise. Leavanny fires out the Leaf Blade and will immediately pressure a shield. Opponent has farmed up to a potential Stone Edge. We will see the shield, but no, it's the Aqua Tail bait. Leavanny, very quick pacing with the Shadow Claw. Leaf Blade, a terrific charge move, able to force the final shield from the Quagsire. Quagsire farming back up quite a bit of energy. We will see the double shield from Leavanny. All shields down in this matchup. Does the opponent go for a catch? They try for a catch, but it's onto a Azumarill. They're running ABA water like grass types don't exist, and here's a grass type. Its name is Leavanny. Leavanny firing off Leaf Blade after Leaf Blade. Azumarill, we're now going to see a switch out into the Dunsparce to absorb this energy. So Leavanny able to save some energy for later. The Play Rough is not going to do a whole lot of damage, and in the back is Whimsicott. Whimsicott honestly could prove to be a little bit tricky here, considering there is a Quagsire in the back, and Seed Bomb will very easily one-shot. So Dunsparce is going to fire off Rock Slide after Rock Slide in this matchup. Opponent is going to save energy on that Whimsicott and bring in the Quagsire. Quagsire winning charge attack priority here. The CMP tie, the Stone Edge picks up the knockout, and this could get a little bit tricky. Do you bring in the Quagsire and try and go for energy, or do you bring in Leavanny? Just going to bring in Leavanny, go for the Leaf Blade. Leaf Blade will be able to secure the knockout. If Leavanny can potentially make it to an X-Scissor, that could be a game-winning play, but here's the move from the Whimsicott. It's the Moonblast. It's going to KO. In comes the Quagsire. Quagsire gets the Aqua Tail, but loses charge attack priority. Oh no! Disaster Strike. Seed Bomb. No, it doesn't KO! This is a regular Quagsire. I'm used to running the Shadow. The regular Quagsire tanks the double super effective Seed Bomb and actually gets the win. We move to the next match. Great lead for Leavanny, leading into Feraligatr. Opponent is going to bring out Drapion, and Drapion will be answered with the Mudboy Quagsire. Honestly, even if this Drapion is able to make a play for switch advantage, the Feraligatr is still not going to have a great time going up against that Dunsparce. The Stone Edge is no shielded. The Stone Edge is not going to be enough to pick up the knockout. Quagsire just choosing to let this go. The crunch lands, and Drapion, with a tiny bit of HP left, is able to secure switch advantage. In comes Leavanny. Leavanny is going to get the Shadow Claw farm down. What is in the back? It's going to be a Diggersby. So right off the bat, some very favorable team comps for the Leavanny. Leavanny is going to be, as I mentioned at the start, a bug and a grass type. We're going to see a switch out here, preserving a little bit of energy and just forcing the opponent to throw energy, throwing these Scorching Sands onto this Dunsparce. Dunsparce does have a very poor matchup against the Diggersby, as of course Diggersby is going to be completely shutting down those rollouts. But the main goal is just try and make the opponent waste their energy in an inefficient manner, and then try and sweep with Leavanny. Opponent is going to bank some energy, bring in the Feraligatr, and Feraligatr is going to overfarm the perfect amount and play to CMP. Hydro Cannon picks up the KO, down goes Dunsparce, and it's all up to Leavanny to try and close out this game. Leavanny with a nice overfarm there, farming just shy of Feraligatr's next move. In comes the Diggersby. Diggersby going to start unleashing these fire punches. Can Diggersby get 3 fire punches before Leavanny gets the double Leaf Blade? If Diggersby has the double fire punch here, Diggersby is going to win this game. But they don't. The quick attack goes through, and that means this game should be a win for Smudgy, as he's going to get the Leaf Blade on the CMP tie there. Leavanny, with some very careful energy management, able to take the win. The lead luck takes a dramatic turn for the worst in the next match, leading Leavanny into Toxapex. Dunsparce save switch answered with Diggersby. Oh man, and the bad situation gets worse. Quagsire would absolutely feast on this Diggersby plus Toxapex core, but unfortunately the Quagsire locked in the back, switch timer not yet up, and the insult to injury, the Scorching Sands attack drop, a bad situation continually tilting even worse. Dunsparce staying in this matchup as the switch clock is not yet available, going to get hit with another move from the Diggersby. It's the Scorching Sands, not quite gonna pick up the knockout, and Dunsparce gets to leave a parting gift of a Drill Run. Drill Run is going to land. Oh, we got a low battery warning as well. Oh no, things, as I mentioned, just going from bad to worse. In comes the Quagsire. The opponent fires off a Fire Punch. They were expecting Leavanny. They weren't paying as good of attention as maybe they should have, and they just clicked the Fire Punch, and that's going to cost them now, as Quagsire is still very, very healthy. Opponent brings Toxapex into this. Oh, this could be the Z's Wireless team. The opponent could be running Talonflame in the back, and they're just triple weak to the Quagsire. In that case, then unfortunately the Leavanny is basically worthless. The Leavanny can't really do much of anything. However, they're not going to have a lot of fast move pressure into the Quagsire. Quagsire going to look to overfarm, again playing to the CMP tie. Very nice plays, nice energy awareness by Smudgy. And now, yeah, at this point, if they're bringing Toxapex into Quagsire, you have to know the Quagsire has value, so he's going to make the right play and commit the shield. This Quagsire is so low. We're going to see a switch out and a catch, saving the energy, hoping that the energy will be enough to sweep, as it's probably, going to be that Talonflame. And look, Leavanny getting melted. But honestly, because Leavanny takes double super effective, the Talonflame did not get a lot of energy. In comes the Quagsire firing off this Aqua Tail. Can this Aqua Tail pick up the knockout? Aqua Tail, Talonflame shields, going for another Aqua Tail, needing this to KO, so there's residual energy to try and deal with the Toxapex, but it just doesn't KO. And that game, hard counted on the lead and swap, but still almost a win. Bit of a tricky lead in the next match, Leavanny into Greninja. Opponent is going to save switch into Drapion, and this time Smudgy was ready for it. He instant switches into that Quagsire to answer this Pokemon. Gonna farm up, unleash this Stone Edge. Let's see that damage. Does the opponent elect to commit the shield? Yes, they do. They are gonna shield, but look at the Mud Shots. Already half HP and a charge attack hasn't even landed. The Mud Shot rework making its presence felt in this battle. Farming up, oh, accidentally playing to a CMP tie that he does not win, but it's just the Aqua Tail, and Aqua Tail will not be enough to KO. So that's good counting there by Smudgy, understanding Aqua Tail with no debuffs would not be enough to knock out, and look at Quagsire go. He has pretty good stats on the Quagsire, and it pays off as it's able to land the Aqua Tail, winning switch advantage and keeping a shield advantage as well. In comes Leavanny in the back, is going to be Ariados. And yeah, you can just send in the Dunsparce. Dunsparce can clean up the Ariados, and you'll be able to Leaf Blade the Greninja and take the win. So this, thankfully, will be a very straightforward game here for Smudgy. So firing off the Rock Slide into the Ariados, gets Ariados deep into the red. It is the shiny Ariados, which is a very, very cool shiny. Oh, they're running Mega Horn, trying for the surprise nuke, but it still doesn't KO. Greninja looking for the farm down. This Drill Run is going to connect, but the Drill Run really wasn't even needed, as Leavanny is going to get to fire off this Leaf Blade, and this will be massive overkill onto the Greninja. It looks like the Leavanny is actually just sitting there. I don't know if the opponent is just closed their app or what's happening here, but it does look like Leavanny is just going to sit there for a while, and we're going to move to the next game. So hopefully he was able to get that win, and hopefully it wasn't a lag out. Leavanny into Malamar. We're going to see a switch out into Feraligatr. Oh, trainer, no. Not like this. I mean, X-Scissor would be able to hit for double super effective damage, but my goodness, you cannot make that switch. And then they end up throwing on Alignment versus the Dunsparce. Hydro Cannon is going to connect, dealing some pretty solid damage, but due to their poor timing, they're now getting outpaced. The Drill Run is going to land. Drill Run is going to, oh, this is tough. Do you end up shielding? No. He's just going to let this go and instead go for farm. Can it potentially go for Shadow Claw down or a Mud Shot down here? Going to go for the Shadow Claw down with the Leavanny. Leavanny met with the Drapion. Drapion going to be hit with an X-Scissor, and then it's going to be all up to the Quagsire to try and sweep the end game. X-Scissor does a lot of damage. Leavanny, some pretty solid damage output. In comes the Malamar. Malamar ever spam me with that Psywave. Psywave has the same stats as Shadow Claw in terms of damage per turn and energy per turn. I am recording this. It is past midnight my time, so if I do misspeak throughout the shoutcast, that is why. It's very late at night for me when I am recording this. But it has the same stats as Shadow Claw in terms of the damage per turn and the energy per turn, but it's a one-turn move. Superpower is going to deal some pretty substantial damage. We're going to see a switch into the Leavanny as the opposing Drapion will go for an Aqua Tail. Aqua Tail, unfortunately, is going to set up a farm down. Speaking of farm downs, can Quagsire get a farm down here? If Quagsire can get a farm down and leave with 2 moves, then this game will just be a win. Oh, but the Drapion is too spammy. It barely hangs on. It makes the Aqua Tail, and that will be game over. Hopping into the next match, Leavanny into Dewgong. Ooh, Ice Shard will make this a little awkward to stay in, so we are going to see a pivot out into the Quagsire. Quagsire answered with a Shadow Cresselia. Okay, this opponent bringing out the spice. Shadow Cresselia. Honestly, the Cresselia being Shadow, quite awkward here because a Grass Knot will actually KO. So that is able to pick up the one-hit knockout there. In comes Leavanny. Shadow Claw is hitting for super effective damage, which is quite nice. And Smudgy, again, really nice overfarm there. Farming up, playing to the CMP tie, denying the energy, storing a little bit of extra energy. In comes the Dewgong. Leavanny gonna go for the Leaf Blade. Leaf Blade threatens some pretty substantial damage onto the Dewgong. Dewgong lets it go, switch into the Dunsparce. Dewgong going to apply a debuff with an Icy Wind, but they're now quite low. Icy Wind connects onto the Dunsparce. In the back is Quagsire. Already a difficult matchup for the Dunsparce, now made even more difficult due to that debuff. The Dunsparce going to spam out these drill runs. Quagsire striking first as they're going to fire off a Sludge Bomb, and Sludge Bomb is going to grab a shield. Dunsparce nearly at 2 more drill runs here. Going for another. This drill run is going to be shielded by the opponent. And Quagsire, is this going to be a Sludge Bomb or will it be the Earthquake? We see the shield. It's going to be another Sludge Bomb. The switch out to Leavanny. Opponent responds with the Dewgong to force energy from Leavanny. Leavanny firing off the Leaf Blade. That will pick up the knockout. Back in comes the Quagsire. Leavanny makes the Leaf Blade, but Quagsire could potentially commit to a farm down. Leaf Blade. Oh, the opponent actually ends up shielding it. They did not have to shield it, and then they throw. Oh no, the opponent unfamiliar with the counts. And that's what can happen sometimes if you're running a Pokemon that you haven't seen before. And no one was running Leavanny previously. So the opponent, unfamiliar there with the counts, thought they had to throw, and that ends up costing them the game. All right, we move to the next match here, leading Leavanny into Lokix. Bit of an awkward matchup because Shadow Claw, of course, is going to be resisted due to the Dark subtyping on the Lokix, but X-Scissor would cleanly KO. We're going to see Lokix firing off a potential X-Scissor. Could also be a Trailblaze, and it will be the Trailblaze. They're just looking to boost up their damage and farm all the way down, but they're able to make a switch out and a catch onto the Dunsparce. Catching the X-Scissor, Dunsparce now going to be answered with our good friend, the Quagsire, as Quagsire so good at shutting down Dunsparce safe switches. As much like the Diggersby matchup, the important thing here just comes down to resisting rollout. If you're able to resist rollout, then you're in a pretty good position. Opponent tries to go for good timing, and that just allows Smudgy to fire off his Aqua Tail on good timing, and the Aqua Tail is just going to cleanly KO. Opponent can bring back in the Lokix. Lokix did have some stored energy. Tough call to make. He's going to let it go. Trailblaze picks up the knockout. In comes the Dunsparce. I mean, these rollouts are hitting for super effective damage, but Lokix, when it's boosted, is so scary. Lokix fires off the X-Scissor. You would really love the farm down here. Can't quite get the farm down. In the back is going to be Quagsire. And unfortunately, Dunsparce, all the energy in the world, but it's just too low. So the opponent will be able to take this win. And that's a bit of the unfortunate thing about Dunsparce, is Dunsparce does have a lot of neutral play, but it's a lot worse into Quagsire than you might want it to be. And that's just purely based off the fact that 2 drill runs don't KO and you can't really farm it down after. Hopping into the final match, Leavanny versus Shadow Machamp. Karate Chops, of course, will be resisted due to the bug subtyping. Leavanny farming up, And Leavanny just going to look to farm a ton of energy. Tough call to make. Machamp full sends the Stone Edge. That is a massive shield for the Leavanny, as now Leavanny can unleash Leaf Blade after Leaf Blade and really put some pressure onto the Machamp. Machamp is just going to let this go. In comes the Shadow Drapion. We're going to see a pivot out into the Dunsparce. Dunsparce is going to be answered with a Swampert. So the opponent bringing the anti-Dunsparce tech as well, but their Mud Boy of choice is going to be the Swampert. But now this is going to be up to Quag in the endgame to try and sweep, as Quag is going to have to deal with the Shadow Drapion. Swampert going for the Hydro Cannon. It will be able to pick up the knockout. In comes Leavanny. Leavanny does have a ton of energy. Leavanny, very nice overfarm there, farming to right around 100 energy and firing off that Leaf Blade. Leavanny going for the X-Scissor. Back in comes that Drapion, and when does the opponent use their shield? The X-Scissor is going to land. That does a lot of damage. Opponent is going to let Leavanny make another Leaf Blade. Again, unfamiliarity with this Pokemon is going to be the biggest benefit, but once people get more accustomed to what it is, what its counts are, and how much damage it does, I do think it is going to get a lot more difficult to use. All in all, Shadow Claw is an amazing addition to Leavanny. Leavanny previously was only stuck with Bug and Grass coverage, which obviously we've seen from the couple matches where it just got completely destroyed off typing. Bug and Grass has its fair share of combined weaknesses, notably flying types. You can't do anything against those. You're walled by poison types. You're also, of course, extremely walled by fire types. So having Shadow Claw really helps in a lot of those matchups, but it still doesn't quite do enough to elevate Leavanny to like a usable open Great League status. I do think that Leavanny is going to be an interesting pick in future limited metas, so it's worth playing the Calm Day, getting the Shiny, because I believe the Shiny's a new one, and evolving one for the Great League, because in future limited metas, it could potentially be quite interesting. But as far as the current open Great League meta goes, it's definitely way better than it was, but I still think it's lacking a bit of coverage, and its typing defensively does leave a bit to be desired. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you as always to our members here on YouTube. The support guys provide is sincerely appreciated. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.